Welcome in, everybody. Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. So we're back at it. So right back into things. So tonight we are covering the NFC East post draft, right? So we're going to cover a little bit of draft nuggets, kind of like intel type deal. What really happened with each pick? Where does that really leave each team? Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We'll get into our sponsor real quick. We are powered by the Sports Lounge Media. Guys, go check us out. Big things happen over here at Sports Lounge Media. Big time of year, right? Football is just around the corner. We are really excited about gearing up and getting into football again. And here at the Marshall Experience, we're really excited to gear up into fantasy, right? We're getting really into deep diving into fantasy leagues here pretty quick. And here at the Marshall Experience, we're going to be here for your content and your helping your fantasy needs. So if you guys are in fantasy leagues and didn't do so hot last year, or you're always looking for extra tidbits or extra tips, give us a follow here at the Marshall Experience. And again, down here at the bottom, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and we're trying to build up an X account as well. So go check us out everywhere, guys. We're just trying to build a community, and we deeply appreciate it. So we'll get started right into it. So, boom, right into it. Top of the team. We'll get first into it. Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Rumor has it that the number one option would have been Territola McMillan. Okay. In my mock drafts, I had Dallas going wide receiver. Opposite of CeeDee Lamb, we didn't really know what was going to transpire. We didn't know, if CeeDee Lamb goes down, what did you really have? You had Tolbert, you had Turpin, you had a return specialist, but you didn't have an actual wide receiver to hold down the fort, right? Now that they've traded for George Pickens, I think that, they've temporarily solved that. In my personal opinion, I think that maybe George Pickens is somewhat of a rental, if you will. He is on a short contract. I don't see Dallas extending that contract, considering they have so much money elsewhere. But we'll see. We'll see how it transpires out. But again, top of the list on their draft board was apparently Territola McMillan. He went at 8 to the Carolina Panthers, which was absolutely a steal, in my personal opinion, and a very good pick by the Carolina Panthers. But the Dallas Cowboys at 12 decided to go Tyler Booker. Okay. I think this was the first pick of the draft that kind of like made me sit back in my seat, really made me sit back and, wow, that was kind of a surprising pick. That was a confusing pick. But again, it's the Dallas Cowboys. We go back and it's Mozzie Smith, and it's you go back in history and they do make these picks. They make these reaches that sometimes work out and sometimes don't. So we'll see how Tyler Booker works out. They felt like he was their typical offensive lineman with pedigree, and it seemed like he was their guy. Now, rumors did have it that they were trying to trade back from number 12. But apparently that deal was not done, right? That was not done. It was not up to their standard. Whether it was not up to their standard or no other team wanted to trade with them, that's I'm not sure on that one. But rumors have it is that they were trying to trade back, which makes sense because Tyler Booker wasn't really valued at 12. So for them to be trading back would make a lot of sense in sense of value, right? But again, they got their guy. I feel like they reached for it a little bit, but you get your guy. Now we go into the second and the third round. In the second round, they got Donovan Escaro. Okay. This is what they had to say about Donovan Escaro is the leadership and explosion shows. Okay. Sometimes you just see it right away. This was a don't overthink it pick. Okay, so this was a best player available. This was a, hey, we have to go get Micah help. We have to go get someone on the other side of that defensive line that is not Micah Parsons, that is going to be able to take the pressure off our defense. Okay. They did that with Donovan Escarot. 16 and a half sacks in college. I mean, the guy can get to the quarterback, right? He just can't. We'll see how that translates to the NFL. Could be interesting. The third round, early third round, they take Siobhan Revel. I think this is one of the best valuable picks in the entire draft, to be honest with you. I thought there was a big drop off at corner after him, but I really thought that he had a chance to go late first, early second. I think that he has the talents, he has the tangibles to really transfer to the NFL. So for him to go into the early third was a steal for Dallas, and I can admit that. Dallas, I felt like got better value in the second and third round than they did in the first, and that's fair. Okay, we'll get right into the Giants, who might have had one of the best drafts entirely. Might have had one of the best drafts out of every team. One of. The Giants said that they settled on Jackson Dart after the Monday night meetings after of a draft week. So when was the draft? Thursday? So they knew Monday night who they were going to get. He said at that point that Jackson Dart had checked all the boxes. They also had decided that they would not be trading above Pittsburgh, banking on the Steelers opting for defense at number 21 and waiting on a quarterback. That could have been risky. I mean, the Steelers could have very well went Jackson Dart. Maybe should have. But, that was a risk they were willing to take, and, they definitely did that. And talking to the teams in 20s about a trade-up, the Giants had made it clear that they would not part ways with the 65th pick. Okay, so that would have been their second-round pick. Houston was comfortable with that. Houston didn't need it. I'm not sure, and I don't want to butcher what they got to move up. So I'm not gonna mention that. But apparently it was not the 65th pick. With that 65th pick, the Giants used it on Darius Alexander, who was one of my favorite players in this draft class. He was an early day 2 prospect. Obviously, you pair him alongside Dexter Lawrence. You got Abdul Carter with the third pick. They really are starting to build this New York defense, and they're starting in the trenches, right? Everybody's watching what Philadelphia is doing. Everybody's watching what Detroit's doing. Building in the trenches. Detroit could do it a little bit better, but everybody's watching what Philly's doing, right? Building in the trenches, and I think everybody's starting to do it, which is quite scary because this is going to be a nasty league here come soon. The Giants did work out with Shedeur Sanders the week before the draft, but Sanders had sensed much earlier that New York probably wasn't in the cards for him. He had openly acknowledged that during the pre-draft process that he didn't hit it off with the coaches. Rumor has it is that Brian Dable was giving out this test, right? This playbook test. And he basically had turned it down and said, whether it was I'm too good for the test or I don't need the test. But basically had turned it down, and Jackson Dart had aced said test. So that's kind of where their decision making had went. So that's just not something to look at. Giants tight end coach Tim Kelly privately worked out with Thomas Fadone. Thomas Fadone was an actually underrated tight end in this draft. They had worked out with him before the draft and really liked what they saw. He's a former 5-star recruit out of high school. Injuries kind of slowed him in college, but perhaps there's some untapped potential. They definitely need help in the tight end world. They got Theo Johnson. But outside of that, man, they really don't have much. So that, kind of interesting how that would play out. They got Cam Scatterbo, Cam Scatterbo as a pass catcher, as well as a backup running back to Tyrone Tracy. I do, and they obviously like his ability to be able to track the ball. So, I think the Giants as an overall had another very good class. But I think that, unlike the Cowboys, they hit their value on each one. Could they have waited for Jackson Dart in the second? Absolutely. But they moved up. They got their guy. And, that's what you got to do in this world. It's a business. You want your guy, you got to move up to get him. And you usually have to pay a future pick to do so. So, it is what it is. But they got their guy, guys. And that's a win for them. Right now, we'll move into the Washington Commanders. Washington got a plus starter with the second round defensive back Trey Amos. I love Trey Amos. I feel like he could have went at the end of the first. He's got size, speed, and instincts. Selecting him at number 61 was considered great value for me. Again, I'd say I saw him going at the end of the first. One aspect that might have him hurt his value slightly is multiple teams discovered a back injury in the pre-draft process. Okay, so this is maybe why he dropped a little bit. This wasn't a major red flag for some teams, but it was at least a mild concern that probably caused him to slide a bit, is what one executive said, one AFC executive. However, people around Amos and the Commanders did not seem overly concerned by it. So, hopefully they see something that everybody else did, and hopefully it works out for them. They spent their first round pick on Josh Conerly. First round offensive lineman Josh Conerly gives Washington flexibility on its right side. He can compete with second man year Brian Coleman at right tackle, and it could kick Coleman to the guard to kick in to the guard eventually. You also got your veteran Andrew Wiley over there. He's in the mix. So a lot of people are sitting here saying that Washington didn't do everything that they needed to do to protect Jayden Daniels, but in turn, I think they did. They got Lansey Tunsil from the Houston Texans protecting the blind side, left side. You go and draft the potential right tackle in Josh Conerly Jr. And then that right tackle that you just had last year can slide over to the guard. It's a possibility. A lot of new faces, a lot of meshing that needs to happen, but I think that they focused on an area that needed focused on. So we'll see how that works out for the Washington Commanders. And then we'll get into our Philadelphia Eagles here. In all reality, guys, I absolutely loved our draft class. I think it'll be one of the highlights and one of the better draft classes to come in the last couple of years. For the first time in a long time, we drafted a true off-ball linebacker, and we haven't done that since 1979, guys. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. In the first round, that is. So Jaheim Campbell was too good to pass up, and you saw Vic Fangio just jumping for joy, man. I mean, he was ecstatic to get a pick like that. Several teams saw him as a top 10 talent, but really had concerns about his durability after multiple injuries in college, right? The injuries is what made him drop. We're fine with that, guys. Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean. You can't tell it don't work out for us, because it does. Okay. The selection of Campbell shows the Eagles are trusting defensive coordinator Vic Fangio and his staff to develop young players at all positions, right? We're putting the trust in Vic Fangio. There's no secret about that. Vic is here to stay, in my personal opinion. I think that Vic is here to retire. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think we get a good 4 to 5 years out of Vic Fangio, and that's exciting for me. I feel like as a coordinator, it's not as strenuous as a head coach, and I feel like he could. I mean, look at Jeff Stoutland, man. Jeff Stoutland's been coordinating for a very long time, and he's one of the best at it. And we could have the next one in Vic Fangio. So I'm excited to see what he does with Jahad Campbell and all these defensive players that we drafted this year. Last season's experience, right? Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. We saw how that translated with Vic's Vic's defense. Okay, now we go get Andrew Mabuka and Mac McWilliams, both another safety and a corner. So we see how, we're trying to build a young core here and allowing this guru to just feed them information, mold them, right? It's going to work. It worked last year. You put the talent, you put the skill, and you put the hard work on the field. You give him a good, hardworking kid like that, and Vic will do wonders. Okay? And I think that we've done that again this year. With those players, I think they're going to put us in a position to compete. I don't think they're going to be immediate impact players, but I think the results play out over time. I think we love Mabuka's instincts, field vision, ball awareness. McWilliams is man coverage skills and physical playing style. I think those are kind of things that really drawn us to those type of players. And then last but not least, Kyle McCord, right? Kyle McCord in the 6th round, guys. That's crazy to me. I didn't see us drafting a quarterback this year, especially with Tanner McKee. But, I think that the guy led the league in passing, in college football in passing. I'm okay with that. There was so much interest from Howie Roseman that he had actually called the Syracuse offensive coordinator, Jeff Nixon, personally to get the pre-draft lowdown on the prospect. So there was definitely some pre-draft interest in Kyle McCord. And, it'll be interesting, man. It'll be interesting to see maybe him and Tanner McKee fight it out. I'm not sure that Kyle McCord necessarily fits our bill, necessarily fits the team scheme. But, we'll see how it all works out, man. But I feel like, really, honestly, I really do feel like the NFC East beast is back. What we're going to do another episode to where we kind of rank the NFC East and we kind of talk about it. But I really do think there's about to be at least three really good teams that could float around 8 wins. I think, last year we were looking at an NFC West where they were battling until like the last 3 weeks of the season. You could see that this year in the NFC East. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will obviously be good. Commanders, they have a lot to fight for now, losing the NFC Championship. Jaden Daniels has something to prove, right? You go and revamp your offensive line and, get it done, right? Then you got the New York Giants, who just revamped their whole entire defense. Now you got your veteran quarterback play, and you got 2 of them at that. You draft your guy for the future, and so we're going to kind of see how this all pans out. I do have Dallas as that kind of the odd man out, and a lot of people call me crazy, but you got a new head coach that nobody wanted, right? They scraped the bottom of the barrel for Brian Schottenheimer. You have no run game. You have a shiesty defense that I just can't trust. You have a quarterback that can't get it done in playoff time. You have an offensive line that just lost an all-time, possibly a Hall of Fame all-pro lineman in Zach Martin. You have to replace that with a reach in the first round. It's not meshing for me, guys. It's not, I get it's the Cowboys. I get they've had prior success, but they've also had prior success under Mike McCarthy. They've also had prior success under better coaching, better run games, better offensive line. Like, the Cowboys are falling, and the rest of the NFC East is rising. Okay, we're leaving the Cowboys behind, and that's as true as it gets for me. So, guys, that is going to be it for us tonight. It's going to be a short show. We appreciate you guys coming in always and forever. Here at the Experience, again, we appreciate everybody. Tuesdays, we're moving to Tuesdays and Sundays. Tuesdays, it's going to be strictly fantasy, guys. If you guys have a fantasy team, if you guys have, any fantasy recollection of any kind, you need tips, you need advice, you just want to listen. Follow us on all platforms, TikTok, YouTube, especially. We're trying to get a little bit of a X handle going. This is the spot. We're going to be creating some content for you guys, and it's going to be good content. So, hopefully you guys can, make you win some games this year. So, give us a shout out and give us a check. But again, we're powered by Sportslawns Media. Go check them out, guys. Go check us out. Big things happening to Sportslawns Media, and we are sponsored by the Mogul brand. Guys, I appreciate you guys coming in. Again, lovely night.